Good morning and welcome once again to the Orlando Real Estate Buzz. We have so much news out there again this week, Joe, that I think we kind of got to narrow it down a little bit.
We might not be able to cover everything.
You really can't. I mean, it's just, if we have 5 hours, we probably could, but we don't. So
I think people would get tired of us after about 4.5. So
yeah. I mean, we're pretty easy to get along with. So the big things from the past week or so is just announced Biden has changed the ruling on independent contractors. And this comes into effect March 11th, which could directly affect our industries.
That's a major piece. Like, I don't think people realize, and this kind of snuck. I feel like it's not as much attention to it as I expected there would be.
Yeah. You didn't see a lot of headlines, but it's when you look at the numbers, it's like, man, it's going to affect a lot of people. And the definition, the way they defined it, it kind of covers everybody. So you've got that. And then, last week we didn't get a chance to cover it, but the Department of Justice came out in one of the lawsuits with realtors that's going on about, how we structure commissions, came out and said, no, we don't like it. We're going to change it. We want it changed. Hasn't gone into effect yet, but it was their first real entry into discussion of what they're looking for in the commission restructuring of how things are done in real estate. Then, of course, we got our jobless numbers, which came across, continuing with the commercial real estate debacle that's going on. So there's just a lot really to take a look at. But we're gonna jump in first on this headline. Biden's Labor Department takes aim at Uber and DoorDash with new rule aimed to cut down a number of independent contractors.
So is this is kind of a two-edge on this one, right? Like, this is more or less, like, I feel like it's a little bit less about the actual drivers themselves and more about the Uber and DoorDash skirting on all the payroll taxes that they should be paying.
That's the big thing the government is saying, but you're seeing a lot of these labor unions come out and say, oh, they're treated poorly. They don't have the right to unionize. They're not getting the benefits of being an employee. But it's not only this industry, but there's a lot of independent contractor industries. Yeah. One, real estate. I'm an independent contractor with my brokerage. In the mortgage industry, it's probably maybe 50-50 independent contractor.
Yeah, I would say a lot of we W-2 our LOs, but there's a lot of companies that do 1099. Maybe not 50-50, but it is a sizable. It's probably 40-60, maybe somewhere around there.
Okay. And the whole gist of the new ruling is this: if you are economically dependent on the company, well, how
that's a tough. Wouldn't economically dependent? What does that actually mean? Like, that company ultimately is paying you, so that's the autonomy scale, right? Like, you're getting paid by them. Does that justify economically dependent, or are they going much broader of like, if this is your only source of income?
Well, you look at a lot of these, the Uber, a lot of the DoorDash, a lot of the what they call gig, the gig industry. A lot of people, this is their second income. This is a second job. This is how they're actually able to make ends meet on a daily basis. And if they're responsible for their own taxes, they're responsible, for writing off their income. I, as an independent contractor, I generate all my own leads. I generate all my own business. But because of the structure of the laws within the state, I have to work under a broker if I don't have a broker's license. So I have all my stuff gets run through the brokerage.
Yeah.
So technically, if that brokerage fails, I'm quote out of a position. So am I economically dependent now on that brokerage? I see this more as, okay, now I kind of know why they hired 30,000 IRS agents, because they're going to come after us. Because, you look at independent, what about the independent truckers? What about the traveling nurses? traveling nurses, they're all independent contractors. They're hired. They take contracts from generally one or two companies,
Mm-hmm.
but they also get to write off all their expenses. So
Mm-hmm.
what's the goal of every independent contractor, every business person? What's one of your biggest goals?
Reduce your tax liability.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. So they're looking at these and going, wow, if we put them as employees now, we're now going to get your employer portion of the payroll tax, and we're going to get their portion of the payroll tax.
Mm-hmm.
It's a revenue generating scheme. I look at it. That was my immediate reaction to it, was they're just looking at ways to increase revenue, because they can't stop the spending. So what do you do if you can't stop the spending? You increase the revenue, so you've got to increase the taxes. So it could really have a widespread effect on a lot of people overall. So it's one of those where you're looking at that, and then also, with our lovely, government, there's been a number of lawsuits. I know most people who generally watch the news know this is out there, is in the real estate industry.
Oh,
because remind me, I've got to get on the conspiracy.
Put the tinfoil hat on
at noon. The collusion call that we all have.
Yes, the collusion call. Yes,
the collusion call. Yes, yeah, because
every Thursday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time.
Standard Time. Yes, yeah, because us as realtors, we all colluded that we're going to charge the exact same thing for our real estate commissions. There's been several lawsuits, a lot of settlements, not a lot of convictions or decisions one way or another, more settlements and agreements that, hey, we're going to change certain things within the structure. One of the biggest ones was in our MLS system, you had to put at least $1 commission to the what we call the selling agent or the buyer's agent. Yep. You had to put $1. Well, one of the things is, because you had to put something. And everyone has agreed to change it. Our MLS actually has this now, in that you can put 0 in there.
Okay.
So you're not quote coercing the seller to do that, to actually have to pay. They don't have to pay, but it's general practice, and it's been this way for 100 years.
Yeah.
So
I that one kind of blows my mind a little bit on this one. Like, you can put 0, like they're going to put on the MLS, which is getting syndicated to all the other realtors, for those realtors to then advertise to their buyers, right?
Yep.
But they're going to pay 0.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's kind of like, hey, like, I want to get all the benefit without actually having to do anything else.
Correct.
Right. Like, and that's what's very confusing with this kind of rule change in my mind. It's like, what's going to happen? And this one, I feel like we could talk forever, because what's going to happen? Do we really think that a buyer is going to get served better? Which I guess that's the argument, is the buyer shouldn't get protections, but everybody wants the buyer to make sure that they have ample protection, so they're not taking advantage from on the other side, but the buyer's going to be responsible for paying that. Like, this is where it gets really convoluted and challenging, because I almost feel like we're looking at these rules very narrowly, and these are very, very broad pieces that have much bigger ripples across the housing and the economy as a whole if we start playing with this too much.
Yeah, there's so many unintended consequences. So you've got someone sitting behind a desk in Department of Justice who just comes up with a whimsical thing. This is what their claim is. It is that it merely prescribes cosmetic changes to the commission sharing at the center of the lawsuit against a broker-owned multiple listing service in the Northeast. So is it kind of cosmetic? Yeah, it is. But at the same time, are we serving the best, our best for our buyers or for the seller, yes, that's our job. That's what we're always trying to do overall. But what they're saying is that we as agents we like to steer buyers to the higher commission. If the seller's offering 2.5% or 3%, I'm automatically going to steer my buyer to the one paying 3% over the one paying 2.5%.
And the problem with that is there's always one or two bad apples that will do that, and that's going to impact all the people that aren't going that would never do that because they're going to operate in an ethical fashion.
Correct. It's the old short-term gain for a long-term loss.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your whole job is to serve your client. If that's the house they like, that's the house they like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's up to them. But I was having a discussion. My best friend came into town on Sunday, and he's selling his condo, and he's like, what do you guys see? I go, well, down here right now we're really 4% somewhere in that area. But I said, you can do anything you want. It's not set. If you want to do. He's looking at selling a roughly about $900,000 condo in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you don't have to agree to what she says. If you want to beat her up, he goes, well, I got her down from 6 to 5 release. I go, well, yeah, she had that in there already to give it away.
Yeah.
I mean, 5%. So she's going to make $50,000 on a condo in Raleigh that you're telling me should be going a week. I'm like, you should have beat her up more. Look at, it's value. It's no different. He owns a construction company that does paving and very successful. I'm like, it's no different when you're negotiating your prices. You want to make sure you're getting the value. And that's the thing I think most people see is they don't feel that they're getting their value anymore with the prices, with, average price going up to say $400,000, $500,000. And we're still, you still see agents out there charging, 6%. I've seen a couple charge 7%, which I'm like, wow.
Well, and I think that's the key. Like you said, values have gone up. So these dollar amounts get bigger and bigger, right? Nobody's looking at the percentage going, the percentage is the same, right? They're going, wait a minute. Like 5 years ago, when I sold my house for $200,000, I paid 6%, but that was, $12,000.
Yeah.
Now they're going, I just sold my new house that I bought 5 years ago for $250,000 for $700,000, for $700,000, and now I'm paying $42,000.
Yeah,
like it's like, oh, that's $42,000, and they're going, well, what was different between last time and this time? And I think that's where like people are seeing some of that challenges with technology.
Mm-hmm.
Real estate in certain areas has become easier. But with technology also, there's been a lot more noise and there's a lot more complexity and there's a lot of different things that really and that's the hard part is, and I think we're dealing it with within our industry too. Like I joke, like, people look at what we make all the time and they're like, well, I don't want to pay that. Right. Like, and I always joke with it when I talk to realtors, I was just like, the big difference between a real estate agent and the lender is once they're under contract, that buyer is locked in. Whatever you're making. Right? In theory, right?
Yep.
But for us, like now they can sit there and go, I'm going to negotiate. And we're in Florida. Like any LO that is licensed in another state that's like, I'm going to add a second state. What state are they adding? Florida. It's one of the easiest and one of the highest volumes. So you end up, I'm like, I joke all the time, like I lose business to brokers and this and that and lenders and everything that Wyoming, Kansas, Kentucky. I'm like, how did this client even reach out to this person? They're going to do
how do they find them?
They're not going to do anything, but they have the internet, right? And that's the hard part. And then inevitably, what happens? 3 weeks into the transaction, everything's going horrible, and now they're calling me up, going, "Can you save the deal?" And I was like, "Well, now it's a 5-alarm emergency. Like you tried to save 50 cents 3 weeks ago, and you created a cluster."
Yep.
And that's I think that's the big hard part is it's very difficult in both of our industries. And right now, real estate is the big one that's getting the talk because of everything going on of quantifying the value And I think part of that change, like, and I'm very wild. Like, I may have some haters on this one. I don't know. Brendan, you may hate me after I say this. Yeah, I don't think you will actually.
Okay, let me have it.
I think part of the issue is that the barrier to entry to be a real estate agent is so low.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
That there are so many people that aren't doing it, that are doing the one deal a year, bombing at it, doing horribly, but still making $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 in commission on that one deal, but they didn't serve their client properly.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think that barrier to entry needs to be elevated significantly on real estate side, on lending side, right? Like, I always joke with appraisers, right? And in the real estate industry,
oh my gosh,
we have title, we have title, insurance, appraisers, inspectors, real estate agents, loan officers, right? And it's like, real estate. I think real estate is the easiest license to get in the industry.
Yes.
Right.
High school diploma.
I think
and take a test.
And I think mortgage is probably the second easiest. Insurance might be slightly harder, maybe the same. Like, they're all really, really close to each other. Title, really, really close. Like you can take a test, do a class online, take a test, pass it, do some fingerprints, background check, pay some money, and all of a sudden you're an expert. You're licensed to do this. But then you look at the appraiser side, and we give appraisers a lot of shit sometimes. But what do appraisers have to do to get to become a full certified, full-fledged appraiser?
Oh my gosh. Well, first off, they have to have at least an associate's degree. They may have jumped that to a 4-year now. I got to double check that, but they got to have at least a 2-year apprenticeship.
2 years. They got to work under somebody else for 2 years before they can do it themselves.
Yes. Yep.
They have to pass an exam, right?
Yep. Like, their exams are hard.
Like, you go into it, and I'm like, and I look at it, I was like, we talk about, oh, well, there's a shortage of appraisers. Well, it's because it's hard, right, to get it. But I was like,
and they get paid the least.
And they get paid the least, right?
They're the most qualified, and they get paid the least.
And that's where I was like, you want to show your value. Like, we want to, like, I don't think we have the complaints that we have right now. If to be a real estate agent, you had to take a class, you had to take a licensing, you had to pass a license, and then you had to work as an apprentice or assistant, or you had to work under somebody else for a certain amount of hours over the course of 1 year or 2 years before you can call yourself a licensed realtor, right?
Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. There should be an apprenticeship, because basically all they do, it's a numbers game for brokers, for a lot of brokers.
Yeah.
They sit outside the class. Okay, we got 30 people graduating. I'll hire 10 of them, knowing that 9 of them are gone in a year. There's a reason.
I'm going to get their 1 to 2 family members that are going to buy.
They're going to buy.
Their sphere. And they're 1099, so they're not costing me anything except for.
Exactly.
And then if you go really big scale, a lot of these brokers have multi-levels of revenue streams for their realtors. So then they get their realtors to teach the trainings, because the whole thing is those realtors are making money off of their downline. So you want to train them, so the broker themselves don't have to do as much training and put as much time and effort. It's a simple system. It's complex. Don't get me wrong. It takes effort to build something to be profitable and to do really well. But the reality is they've got they're not worried about the person doing no business, because it's not really costing them anything. Because
it doesn't cost them anything. It doesn't cost them a dime.
And real estate doesn't have the reputation. For not for nothing, right? If a realtor does a bad job, does the broker shop get a bad name?
No, the agent does.
The agent does. It's one of the only sales industries that I feel like the individual is the one that gets the bad name, not the company.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because in yours, if your company,
if one of our LOs does a bad job,
it's your company that
it's my company that did bad.
Yeah. If I did bad, I'd get hit. Because no one sees me really under the umbrella of, my broker. And that's part kind of going back to the independent contractor, where it truly is independent.
Yeah.
I, as well as I perform, as well as I get paid.
Yeah.
And you can look simply at the numbers. Aura has 18,000, 16,000 members, and we have what right now, 1,200, 1,600 sales a month. There's a lot of starving agents. A lot of those are agents who sell one or two a month, or two or three a month.
Yeah.
And I agree wholeheartedly. There's times where I've just, a new agent. One of the first things I do is I'll look up and see what is the agent sold. Boom, first thing, and the minute I see one sale in 2 years or no sales, it's like, oh God, this is gonna be a pain in the ass. I was like, no, I'm taking over the entire transaction. I take over the whole thing. You just sit back, let me handle it all, and get your commission check. I'll make sure that everything goes through fine. I've done it multiple times.
Yeah.
And actually had the straight up conversation. Look, I know you're new. Let me handle it. I'll take care of it all.
So is this part of the challenge of why sellers are upset about commissions is because they hired a new agent that didn't know how to serve them well, and the buyer agent actually had more experience, and then that seller wasn't getting really somebody that was representing and protecting their best interest because they didn't know how to?
Correct. Oh yeah. I mean, I've taken advantage of
a novice agent to beat up the seller.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Beat their butt up. Like, oh,
and then the seller's still the one paying you.
Yeah,
I would be upset too if I was the seller in that situation, right?
Yeah. They get all panicked. Oh, that's like, well, this is what we can do. And you just know it. And it's like anything in negotiation. You got to know who you're competing against. And and you try and use it to your advantage as much as you can, because I'm working, I'm my fiduciary duties to the buyer's agent per se. But it's interesting because I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I'm just there's so many things coming down the road, and the next year in real estate's just going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Actually, it does make me a little nervous, a little scared. But I know as long as I continue to perform properly for our clients, we're going to do well. I mean, I think I got to thank you for the job that you and your team did with Holly. It was phenomenal. I mean, you found the program, the SPCP program, and I am going to get that out by the end of this week, which gave a $5,000 grant that she didn't have the money. It gave a 5% closing cost contribution, which we purchased an open door house. They've lost money. They want to get rid of their house, move their houses. We got the whole 5%.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, it was like 4.82%, something like that. And did you see what you had to bring to closing?
I didn't see the final. I know that
$42. $42 above the escrow deposit. $42.
Awesome. That's awesome.
She those are the ones you love. Those are the ones you love, because we got to be creative. We found something that really helped. She moved her stuff in yesterday, and she called me, and she was just ecstatic, absolutely ecstatic. So I want to take a moment and say thank you to you and your staff, because it would not have happened without that program, without you finding that solution for our client and stuff. So those are some of the things, and we're not even going to have time to hit on the job numbers. China, going the big developers over there filing bankruptcy, going bankrupt, and everything. But let's get into, while we have a chance, let's get into our numbers for the week. So this week, we kind of pulled back a little bit again, and we dropped to 337 sales during the week. Our inventory grew back a little bit, 52 units, but you see we're holding pretty steady when we look at the charts. And then our condos just, chugging along, super slow, not really doing anything. Their inventory actually stayed pretty steady too, which that kind of surprises me with both those two, because we're starting to hit that spring time, and I expect to see a few more homes starting to hit the market, hopefully, for everybody. Then one of our favorite pages, as always, is the original to final list price. And you see right here, the original list to sales price is down negative $27,000.
Wow.
That's big.
Mhm.
And you look at, in these areas, the 250 to 300,
22. Gosh.
22,000. But then I think about it, because the price of Holly's was 260. We
Mhm.
dropped, we came down 6,000 off the price, plus got $10,000 in closing cost contribution. So, we're right in there at where
Mhm.
they're falling. And you look at the percentage, 92.5%.
Wow.
And I think that's because with the interest rates going up, the people in this economic
Yep.
situation, they're tight, and they've got to scrape out every penny that
Mhm.
they possibly can do to make it
Yep.
work for them. Average days on market, we're holding right steady at that 60. And then, you just look weekly sales. I mean, we're just pretty steady all the way along.
Mhm.
And I think it's going to kind of stay this way until we find there's something that's going to push the interest rates down. Right now, most people are betting on June. It's gone from March. May is gone.
May's gone.
May's gone. And they're kind of sitting in June. But the June numbers, when I looked at them this morning, the June numbers have started to slide more to holding steady.
Yeah. Which is interesting, because back and I'm being sure, like, guys, if you were watching us in December, we said March was not going to happen. And we said best case June. We've been saying this, right? And now it's like, now we're looking at, man, we were hoping for June, and now we may actually be looking at later. Like, the Feds
I'm almost skipping August.
I feel like September might, like, the Feds are going to be very, very cautious with a lot of this stuff right now. They just are. And we've got kind of data that's like, you see the writing on the wall.
Here's a question.
Kind of like,
Here's a question that came to my mind today when I saw the gig thing. Is like, if they start to have to convert all these people to employees, does the job numbers now all of a sudden explode and look absolutely phenomenal?
The Feds are like, we're going to keep steady till 2026.
Yeah. I'm looking at going, okay, so you take all these independent contractors now and you have to make them employees. So have you actually created a new job?
I think by
the
government's definition, you have.
I don't know. I mean, it's like, these are just thoughts that come in my head.
It's very interesting.
So then you see steady line inventory, really, since last October, is just kind of very steady at just over 5,000 units.
And it's really tightening up there like that. The last 5-6 weeks, like, it is right tight in this level.
I mean, it's moved 20 units on average, high or low, somewhere in that ballpark. Go back in, we going into our condos, we're seeing the same thing, under $250,000, which are majority of condos here in the Orlando area. And you see this, 94.45%. But one thing I have noticed, because I've got a couple clients I am trying to find condos for, is the initial list prices are coming down over the past 2 weeks, where I've been following one complex over in Altamont Springs, and the 1-bedroom, 1-bath used to be listed at, January, like 165, 170. I saw one listed at 135, and I saw another one listed at 140. Oh, wow. So the initial list price I'm seeing is actually starting to come down as well.
Yep.
So that's kind of interesting.
I think
you can't really see that in the numbers.
I feel like the condo market is going to take what would be presumed, in my microphone that I'm not using is in camera. The condo market, I feel, is going to get. I almost feel like it's potential bloodbath over the next year.
A friend of mine sent me one that her friend is selling over in Bradenton. It's right on the water. Beautiful. Did a beautiful job redoing it. He's a flipper. And he had it listed at 475. He's had it on the market for 88 days and has had 2 showings. And
It's
he's
not like people are scared. I think
yeah,
there's been enough news about condos, like people are scared. Like you
yep,
have the condos that, you have the fortunate what happened in South Florida, which drove a lot of the insurance, a lot of this stuff, a lot of the change, the tightening of it. But it's like, you see all of this cost going up, see that, then you start seeing values go down. Like it's hard to be like,
yeah,
I'm going to invest in that right now.
yeah, yeah. And it's not just Orlando, it's the entire condo market throughout the state of Florida.
Yeah.
You're seeing the same thing. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter which area you're moving to, the condo market, except maybe Miami, but boy, Miami went so high. When that crashes, it's gonna be something. It's gonna be that could be one of your really big bloodbaths, as you're saying. So
Mm-hmm.
all right, well, we thank you all for joining us, and we shall see you again. Please like, subscribe, and any questions or anything we could ever help you with, please feel free to reach out to Joe and I. We're here to help you. Take care. Have a blessed day.
Have a great one, team. Bow, 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 bow.